Okay, here we go. I'm going to get you to break real quick. Trust me. What I'm going to talk about here is basically, with this very snatchy, catchy title, basically how we're adapting our API to fit our business model. Okay, and we're going to blow through this. Klout. This is who we are. Oh, let me introduce myself. VP of Platform at Klout, which just means I'm pretty much like biz dev with APIs. That's all it really is. Klout, 21 employees, so we're pretty small, located locally in Soma here in San Francisco. Of the 21, the notable stat here probably is that we were 10 in August, so we're kind of getting big quick. What do we do? So this slide actually has 3 components I'm going to talk about. The first component is what we do is we measure online influence. So Twitter, Facebook, just introducing some LinkedIn integration. What we do is you might have seen our Klout score. That's a measure of one person's online influence. We also, under the covers, have topical influence. We basically do social network analysis, and then we give everybody a score. So what's not on this slide, maybe a little bit right here, is our real mission as a company is to be the standard for online influence. So keep that in mind as we go through this. That's the mission. How we make money right now, our business model. We have a lot of possibilities, but the one that's really come to the fore in the last 3 to 4 months is what you see down here, which is what we call Klout Perks, and they're effectively influencer campaigns. And an influencer campaign goes something like this. Virgin America comes to us and says, you know what, we want to generate awareness for a new leg that we're launching from, say, LA to Toronto. Do you have some influencers that we can tap into? We have about over 1 million people that have signed up for our program. They have a score. We can contact them directly. And we say, yeah, sure. So we know who's influential in travel. And they say, okay, cool. Well, we'll give away 570 flights if you can show us who those people are. Okay. Then on behalf of Virgin, what we do is we actually contact those people. Hey, Virgin would like to offer you a free flight, free round-trip ticket. About 264 of those people actually engaged in this particular offer. 120 took the flight. But the important thing is, of those 264, they generated each about 5.5 tweets or shares, which roughly equated to like 41 million impressions. And so that's about $2 effective CPM. And so Virgin was very happy about that, right? And so basically now what we have is we have this queue of larger brands that are lining up to do these types of influencer campaigns with us. So right now, the important piece here are 2 things on this slide. 1, our mission is to be the standard. And 2, our predominant business model effectively is this influencer campaign. It's hard to go against the market there right now. Okay, so that brings us to the API. API also happens to be blowing up. You can ask anybody from the Mashery. Our call volume has increased thoroughly in the last 2 months. Okay, so I think you're going to hear from like Andrew Dumont from Seismic later. We have an awesome Seismic integration, so these are partners of ours. We had just announced Huffington Post integration today, so they're using us to basically filter content. Think of it as like a recommendation engine based on Klout score, influence score. So I like takeaways from slides. The 2 takeaways from this are actually, one is we have 900 Klout partners, so developers, okay? It's a big number, hard to get a hold of. The other thing here is this. Of all these 900 partners, and it's not necessarily the people I've listed here, 36% of them are doing some kind of social media marketing tool, okay? And if we think back to actually the influencer campaign, and I think this next slide's kind of like a throwaway brand slide, but basically, if we think back to the influencer campaign, what we realize is people who are using this for social media, our API, our data, for social media marketing, so think the influencers, are actually kind of hurting our core business model right now, right? If you think about every influencer as having a certain degree of attention that they can give to anybody or any company, then they're kind of eroding our mind share effectively, all right? So it's kind of a problem that we're not so worried about now, but we're aware of it, and we're kind of take steps against that. And the other thing is this, and this is, again, we want to be the standard. So what does that mean? It means we need to drive brand impressions, right, across the web for marketers, support, consumers. We want the brand to be tight, right? So those are our 2 things. 1, brand impressions. 2, let's not cannibalize our own business model just yet. Whoops. So here's the 2 things the 2 steps we're taking. So 2 challenges, 2 steps. Start with the cannibalization first. Charge tariffs, right? So when you look at an API, it's a product, but so that means it's subject to all the trappings a normal product has: pricing, marketing, packaging, right? So what we do here is we figure out ways via SLAs, via certain call bursting to say, you know what? We know that you're going to use this for targeting, and that's going to erode our core audience, so we're going to charge you a minor tariff on that. So that's where we're going to monetize, effectively, our API, but it's also to kind of protect our core business. The second thing here is adapt the API, and I had these nice pictures, but we just blew through this one. So we're going to adapt the API, and basically adapting the API, again, so the first part was that cannibalization piece, charge tariffs, use pricing and packaging. Second piece here is change the API. It's a product like anything else. You can treat it agilely, like any kind of agilely produced product, right? So what we do here is we say, okay, I have 900 developers, effectively. I need them to adhere to my brand guidelines, which are part of our terms of service. Do you have any idea how hard it is to hunt down 900 developers, some of which are one-man shops in Albuquerque, to figure out whether or not they're actually attributing your brand correctly? It's impossible, right? So what we did is we're putting a layer on top of our data. So think widgets, think hover cards. So it's a whole new type of API where we can standardize what a lot of these people are doing so that it makes our brand look better and it puts less development burden on them. I told you I'd get you to break fast. This is the end. The end's this. So basically, I hate to say it, more developers are not always better, okay? But the good news is that if you're smart about it, you can actually segment those developers. So in that case, maybe more developers is better, right? Don't be afraid to use pricing, is what I would say. And I'm not talking about exorbitant amounts for the data, but what I'm saying is, let's just incent the right people at the right time and disincent some people from using your data, right? Or your API. And then the second, this is simple product. Evolve your API to fit your business goals. We need our distribution to be tight. We need our brand to be tight. So let's build a whole new API on top of our API and make that available instead. Cool. Thanks, man.
I don't know. I think your definition of platform is actually, it's more than just developer. You are talking about offering people a very specific business tool so they can build their business versus kind of somewhat more generalized or broadly based data that some of the others are offering against which they can create various types of scenarios.
We started with a broadly based data set, and now we're kind of building, like I said, layers on top.
Yeah, I mean, you seem to be offering a really sharp service that the others are going to use.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's a different purpose altogether.
Yeah.
Equally valid, it's just a question of looking at what you got and where you want to go as a business.
Your business model, and you kind of have to put the two together.
Okay, anybody have questions? It's break time.
Time, baby.
Let's give it about 20 minutes.